There are so many UX laws out there that it can be super confusing, like which one matters. Well, all of them are equally important, but in my experience, these four laws have been super fundamental in how I design. And this video, I actually wanted to share those four laws, what they are, and how we can implement them in digital UX. So let's get into it. The first law is Fitts law. It states that the time to acquire a target is a function of the distance to and size of the target. So the emphasis is on two words, distance and size. So it's referring to your CTAs, call to actions, your buttons, and how they should be positioned, like what size they need to be so that they are effective. So these are a few ways we can implement them in digital UX. First is the touch targets, which are the buttons, should be large enough for users to accurately select them. So size, if they are prominent, they are well positioned, they would easily attract the user's attention and would be effective. The second is touch targets should have ample spacing between them. So if you have multiple CTAs in an interface, like a modal has got a few CTAs like cancel or continue, so they need to be spaced in like apart enough that nobody mistakenly clicks the other while intending to click on the other. The third one is touch targets should be placed in areas of an interface that allow them to be easily acquired. So positioning is super important. The positioning should make sense. The user preferably should move towards the position of your CTA instinctively. But if they don't, then it should be prominent enough that they can discover it and discover it quick. So that was all about Fitts law. The second law is Hicks law. It says the time it takes to make a decision increases with the number and complexity of choices. So the number of choices and complexity of choices, they are directly proportional. The more choices there are, the complexity increases like that. So how you can implement them in digital UX? First is minimize choices when response times are critical to increase decision time. So if there is like a deletion confirmation model, the decision time needs to be quick, so the choices should be limited to only those which are relevant, like cancel and continue. So minimize choices when you want quick responses. The second is break complex tasks into smaller steps in order to decrease cognitive load. If there's a very big complex task, a lot of thinking needs to go into it, it will be super overwhelming, and that in UX and psychology terms is called cognitive load. So the way to decrease this is you can break the task into smaller steps so they are easily digestible. That is how you turn something complex into something simple. Then we have avoid overwhelming users by highlighting recommended options. I'm sure you have seen this while using some app at some time in your life. It's very popular in modals. Again, I love modals because they are where you have to make a decision. So there is always one CTA which is colored or highlighted different because the designers want to nudge you towards that decision. Lastly, use progressive onboarding to minimize cognitive load for new users. Progressive onboarding is very prevalent when you are signing up and the product is asking for your information. So they don't necessarily ask you all of the information in one go because that would be super overwhelming. What they do instead is that they have something called progressive onboarding. They ask a few questions, then next step they ask some more questions, then some more questions. So it's broken down into these steps and you progress by giving more information, so it's easier to onboard. I would just like to stop here and thank you if you have been watching this video so far. It would be amazing if you can just leave a comment down below, just say where are you watching from. It would be super helpful for my YouTube algorithm, and if you are enjoying this video, it would help others to find this video as well. So give me a like and comment in the comment section. The third law is Jacob's law, and this states that users prefer your site to work the same way as all other sites they already know. What it essentially means is you don't need to put in so much effort to reinvent everything. I mean, if that's your business, then definitely you need to, but don't try unnecessarily, because people have their mental models in place. They expect other products to work the same way. Discoverability is not a core thing they are looking when they're using your product. So how you can implement it? So users will transfer expectations they have built around one familiar product to another that appears similar. So if it appears similar, then they will transfer their expectations from what they already know. So you can use this to your advantage if you are designing something which which looks a similar way as some other product does. Then you should always have the same behavior, because if it disrupts, it creates a bit of frustration. So always keep those expectations in place. Then the second is leverage existing mental models to create superior user experiences in which the users can focus on their tasks rather than on learning new models. If like there are a lot of behaviors and user interactions which people have already locked in, they don't need to relearn them. So you can just skip that effort entirely. Just keep those how things have been. You don't need to reinvent anything. And rather than on those, focus more energy on how you can leverage those existing interactions and make your new experiences easier to adopt. So just make design your new interactions and screens in a way that they conform to the existing mental models, and that way the adoption rate would be super good. Lastly, don't reinvent the wheel. Make use of the existing patterns. It actually summarizes everything we've been talking about. Existing mental models are super important, and they can be a very powerful asset if you know how to leverage them and use them to increase your interfaces adoption. The last UX law I personally love is Miller's law. So the average, it says that the average person can only keep 7 plus or minus 9 items in their working memory at a time. So this largely relates to content and how you can structure your the content in your interfaces. So organize content into smaller chunks to help users process, understand, and memorize easily. If there's a lot of information in one screen, it would be super hard for them to remember. The second one is don't use the magical number 7 to justify unnecessarily. Just stick to what is most critical. And that was all for this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and support this channel. I post weekly on everything UX related, and I'll see you in the next video.